Now we will be talking about certain special cases that we encounter during a poll day. Before that, let us just rewind on the normal procedures in an election polling station. Now, normally when a new voter comes in, he first meets the first polling officer with an identity card. And looking at the identity card, once the serial number is known, the first polling officer loudly reads out the serial number of the voter. Once the serial number is read aloud, the candidate's agents can see the voter and they recognize him to be a genuine voter of the polling station. Subsequently, the polling officer reads out the name, and in the marked copy of the particular polling station's voters list, the first polling officer puts a diagonal line in the box of the voter in the electoral roll. A red line is drawn starting from the photograph diagonally to the other corner. If the voter is a female voter, subsequently the first polling officer also puts a round around the voter's electoral number. Subsequently, the first polling officer in the data sheet which is given to him, where he has to mark the statistics. If it is a male voter, he has to tick the male column. If it is a female voter, he has to tick the female column. So this is the role of the first polling officer. Subsequently, the voter moves to the second polling officer. The second polling officer, again, he verifies the electoral roll number, and then in the 17A register that is present with him, he mentions the electoral roll number. Subsequently, he gets a signature of the voter, and then he applies the indelible ink on the forefinger as per instruction. That is, starting from the skin, it must be a straight line drawn to the tip of the finger. So this is the next thing. And subsequently, by the time the finger's indelible ink is dried up, the second polling officer will write in the voter slip the serial number of the 17A register, again the voter's electoral roll number, and then put an initial and hand it over to the voter. This role of the second polling officer is over. With this voter slip, the voter next moves to the third polling officer. The third polling officer, after verifying the indelible ink, collects the voter slip, keeps it safely, and subsequently he or she presses the ballot in the control unit. Once the ballot is pressed, the vote is told to move to the secret compartment, the voting compartment. There, according to his choice, he presses the blue button. Immediately, the slip is generated in the VVPAT. He can view it for 7 seconds. It will be available in the window. Once it's 7 seconds over, it falls into the drop box. Immediately, a beep sound comes in the control unit, indicating that the vote has been registered, and that is a normal way in which a normal voter completes the voting and moves out of the polling station. This is the normal way in which a vote takes place. But there are situations where a new unexpected thing can happen in a polling station. We will be talking of such things. There are three main important things that could happen. One is the tendered vote, the other is the challenge vote, and the third is the test vote. These are the three scenes that we are going to talk about. Now we will just talk about a special case which is referred to as the test vote. Now this is the register for voters, the form 17A, in which the voter, when he goes to the second polling officer, his in this column, serial number of the elector in the electoral roll is mentioned. We get the details of the proof that is given. If it is an EPIC card, it is written as EP, and if it is any other document, the last 4 digits are written in this column. Subsequently, the signature is obtained. If the signature is not capable of putting a signature, his thumb impression is taken. So this is the normal way in which the vote is done. (17A), this register of voters, this has to be, this name and number of the polling station should be written, part number of the electoral roll should be written. Suppose it is a third, then it should be written, if it is Mahi, it is 29/3. that should be written. And now in each page, the presiding officer has to put a signature. Normally, we get around 50% of voting, generally more than 50%. So, what if the number of voters in a particular polling station is 100,000? Day before itself can sign up to the serial number 500 minimum and keep it ready, so that every time the presiding officer need not go and sign it. So, that part can be done in advance and kept ready. So, now we will talk about a test vote. What is a test vote actually? If a voter comes for voting, gets into the secret compartment, the voting compartment, and then he presses a button, he subsequently sees the VVPAT slip and comes out and reports to the presiding officer that when he had or she had pressed a particular button for a particular candidate, he found that the VVPAT slip was not corresponding to the candidate of his choice or to the button to which he had applied. So, he says that the slip that was generated for some other candidate. So, it is a very rare situation. Now, this situation can be analyzed. How? The voter moves to the presiding officer. Once he goes to the presiding officer, he details the situation, incident, and subsequently the presiding officer tells him, yes, you have a chance to to verify your claim. For that, as per the Act, we have a rule 49MA, and this is the 49MA rule paper. This form has to be filled by the voter if he wants to prove his claim. And this declaration under 49MA should be first explained to the voter that if he is sticking to his stand that the slip that was generated was not to the choice of the button that he had pressed. So, he is told to give a declaration. The declaration, the part 1, he solemnly has to affirm that as per the election conduct rule of 49MA, the incident that he pressed a particular button and went for some other, the VVPAT print was for somebody else. In the part 2 of this annexure form, it is written, I am aware of the penal provision of section 11177 of the IPC that I shall be liable for punishment for imprisonment for a term of 6 months or with a fine of 1,000 rupees. So, this is an affidavit like thing that the voter gives, stating that first is his claim, second is his affirmation that I will obey the rule, and if I am saying a particular thing and if it is found to be wrong, then he or she will be liable for punishment under 177 of the IPC. Therefore, he in good faith has to read and the presiding officer has to explain to him, and subsequently we should get the signature as well as the thumb impression. Both signature as well as thumb impression must be obtained from the voter, name of the elector, his father's name, part number and serial number, and the serial number of the registered vote. Now, this person is now permitted to carry out another vote. So, he is permitted to cast another vote. Now, this vote is called a test vote. Now, in the serial number of the 17A he would have already registered his original vote. Now, he is doing a second vote. That should be also mentioned here. So, in the column, we will have to get the details. And he will write his serial number of the electoral roll. Then we will also get the details, the identification record that is given, either EPIC card or some other document that should be mentioned. Subsequently, it should be referred and written as that in the remarks column is a test vote. Here, his signature should be obtained, and also his thumb impression should also be obtained. So, now this voter has actually voted first as a normal vote, and subsequently a test vote that also should be registered in the 17A, because that machine will also carry this vote. Now, this voter is vote only after he signs this declaration. Once we obtain this declaration, he is understood the provisions of the law, and then he is permitted to go vote doing the test vote. The test vote, when he is doing, the presiding officer along with the candidate's agents are also permitted to enter the secret compartment. So, it's the only occasion where the agents and the presiding officer can go and witness what is happening inside the compartment, secret voting compartment. Now, all these people go, and the voter is again told to press a switch and to which candidate he is going to press, that should also be mentioned in the same serial number in the last remarks column, that he has voted now, the test vote has been casted in the name of the third candidate or fourth candidate, whatever can, because this vote candidate will get an extra vote which is a test vote which has to be deducted from the actual tally that the candidate gets. So this should be the candidate's, the voter, the new choice candidate's name and number should also be mentioned in the 17A register, because it has to be deducted in the end. Now this is done, and then the voter presses the button, and on pressing the button all of us should watch the VVPAT slip. If in the VVPAT slip some other candidate's slip has been generated, this indicates that the claim of the person is correct. Thereafter, the election in the particular polling station has to be stopped. The matter should be immediately informed to the returning officer for taking further necessary action in this regard. The other situation is if the voter's claim happens to be wrong. That is, if the claim was that he pressed a particular button and got some other slip generated, but now you have a situation where the voter has pressed a particular button, the same corresponding VVPAT slip has been generated. In such cases, this voter must be handed over to the police to start the legal action, course of action in this regard. So this is the situation. This vote is referred to as the test vote. Now, when a test vote has been carried out, in 17C is the register of votes in a particular polling station. In this 17C, in the column 5, test votes recorded under Rule 49MA required to be deducted. So, in this fifth column of the 17C, the vote, serial number, which candidate the extra vote was put, and how many votes were cast must be mentioned. Okay, so this data will be part of 17C in the fifth column. So what happens at the counting table, this vote must be deducted because there's an extra vote which was a test vote which must be deducted from the total count for the particular candidate. So this is a test vote.